As stated in a previous video, I would like to start selling a few more books on the side of the mainline clothing resale business. And these are my two brand new POS bookshelves that I picked up for a total of 10 bucks that paid for themselves from a thrift store. Funny story about buying these shelves. I got them from a thrift store around the corner. One of the employees helped me load them into the back of my van, and at the end of it grabbed a couple of pieces of clothing at random off the pile of unsorted inventory and put them on the corners, the bottom corners of the shelves so they wouldn't break through the windshield. One of the pieces of clothing was just H&M, nothing. And the other was this pair of jeans that are designer Japanese jeans from a brand that's actually in the Menswear Manifesto, or Slow. So these are worth between $100 and $200. So made some good money. I may, when these sell, throw the thrift store a little bonus. Got this at a Goodwill. I wound up going to a Goodwill to kill some time because I was stuck in traffic. And this, I think, is a Prima strategy guide. Yeah, Prima. And these strategy guides, be on the lookout for these because the right guide for the right game can be worth quite a bit of money. This is only worth about 15. If you find one for a famous game like a Zelda 64 or something like that, those can be worth really, really good money. Really well-known games or current games. This is a Christian book. It's a instructor guide to supplement some kind of a course, Meeting Jesus in the Gospel of John. And this is of unknown value, but other books in this lecture series or instructional series are worth around 30 bucks, and there seems to be a market for it. Religious texts can carry a lot of value, both actual source material like Bibles and stuff, and this kind of supplemental commentary. Then I stopped at a little library bookstore because I was in the neighborhood, and I found a bunch of books. So this is a bagged book. It's probably new. It looks like it's unread, and I'm sure this makes it much more enjoyable for you to look at when I do this. The Goblin Society, A Langdon St. Ives Adventure by James Blalock. It's some kind of niche weird fiction or horror. It was 2 bucks, and this, I don't remember how much specifically was worth, but it was with a whole bunch of others, I think from the same publisher, and all of them are worth between 15 and 30 bucks. Here is King of the Dogs, Queen of the Cats by James Patrick Kelly. These are like borderline vanity published, I think, or like some little boutique publisher. What is it? It's Subterranean Press. I think I recognize them. The Post-Utopian Adventures of Darger and Surplus by Michael Swanwick. Not titles that I recognize at all, even as someone who reads a lot of genre lit. My Beautiful Life by KJ Parker. And these are all basically in new condition. I know that these are worth what they're worth because I scanned them on the Amazon app. If you don't have the Amazon app and you're interested in selling books or DVDs or CDs or anything with a barcode, I recommend downloading it because it is free and it's free to sign up for an account. You don't have to sell a single thing on Amazon to use the scanning app. You can scan a book, it shows you all the prices, the list prices, and it also gives you the Amazon sales rank, which if you learn to read can help you gauge the demand. And you can also scan on the eBay app as well, although some people don't put in the UPC code, so it doesn't always pull up all the listings. But that's a good way to just quickly scan, and also if it doesn't have a barcode, you can scan the cover itself and it'll pull up the listing for it. Jane Goes North by Joe Lansdale. Subterranean, Tales of Dark Fantasy 3, 2 bucks. This is probably one of the ones that's worth a little bit more, 30, 35. The Sky Done Ripped, Joe Lansdale, another Joe Lansdale. Rosa Lewis, An Exceptional Edwardian by Anthony Masters, the true story of the Duchess of Duke Street as presented on Masterpiece Theater. A not common book, hardcover, in pretty good condition. It does have some foxing. those little speckle spots, that's called foxing. And that's not that bad. I may clean this up a little bit. I think this is another one that was worth 15 or 20. This one is probably one that I'll end up keeping, The Best of Asimov in a Panther edition. Oh no, that's Fear. I think that is a UK binding. I really like UK bound books for my own personal reading, and this has Nightfall in it, which is his most famous story. I will probably keep that. I may end up selling it, and I got that for 50 cents, and also got Andre Norton's The Beast Master, which, I don't know, I may keep, I may sell. Andre Norton, not someone I've read before. Cafe Culture in Pune, Being Young, I hope that I pronounced that right, Being Young and Middle Class in Urban India. It is published by Oxford Press. This is one of the tells that a book may be worth money. There are certain publishing houses that tend to produce work that carries its value. Niche academic topics like this can carry a little bit more value, and you'll see a few more examples of that coming up. There are just certain publishers that are eye-catching for me. Oxford's one of them. And this is, I think, worth like 40 bucks or something. Condition is okay. There's some damage to the corners here. It's a little bit of rumpling. I think that there's a book selling term for that. A Good Man in Evil Times, an ex-library book. And it has all the library stickers and whatnot. You can still sell library books. It does diminish the value a little bit just because there's paraphernalia attached to it. The condition is usually a little bit worse. I think this was worth around 30. And this is a fairly uncommon edition of Island by Aldous Huxley, of course, best known for Brave New World. And this may go into my collection, or I may sell it, because this is a really rare edition of it. Perennial classic, Harper and Row, published in, let's see here, 1962, and it's a first edition. Looks like 14th printing. Might be a lot of meat on that bone. I'll have to do some more research. Slavoj Žižek's The Parallax View. Žižek is one of the most famous public intellectuals and the most famous public Marxist in the world. Has a big bibliography, writes very long books that I always tell myself I will read. I've read a couple of them, and I know in my heart of hearts that I'm never going to read this. So it probably does have some resale value. It's probably worth 12 to 15 bucks. And it's from MIT Press. Most Žižek books are published by Verso, which is another good one to know. Verso has like a V insignia here, and those books tend to be worth a lot. Actually, I think I have a Verso book in here somewhere. This I found lurking unlisted in my bookshelf. It is a very old, or not very old, I think it's from the 60s, academic commentary, literary criticism, that may be worth quite a bit of money, maybe worth around 50 bucks, and this I got at a flea market. This one also was just sitting there unlisted. I think it's because I moved into this apartment, and it was mid-listing process of that haul of books, so not all of it made it up on eBay. Some slipped through the cracks, apparently. This is a first edition paperback of a very famous horror novel, and I don't read a whole lot of horror, so I'll probably sell this. There's a chance I may hang on to it just because that's a rare book. I got these at the same thrift store in the same trip where I got these, so already these paid for the bookshelves on their own. It's the first 4 books in the Wheel of Time series. These are not worth a ton, certainly not on their own because they're so common, especially in these mass market editions, but if you can sell them in a lot, there is a lot of demand for them. This is one of the most popular fantasy series ever published, up there with Game of Thrones, and in terms of sales rank, probably up there with Lord of the Rings at this point. And they just released an Amazon series based on it, so the demand probably is pretty high. I didn't even bother to look at the comps on eBay. I just know, having got these for probably a quarter each, I'll be able to turn some decent profit on that. Here is a book about the history of NASA, and unfortunately it has curled up in the heat of my van. That is an occupational hazard of living in Southern California. If you buy books to resell and the inside of your car is going to get hot with the book sitting in them, consider getting a cooler and keeping it in the car, which is what I do, but the cooler was full of books from previous trips. So I tried to just pile clothing on top of it to keep it a little bit insulated, but it didn't really work, so that is an unfortunate side effect. But this is a fairly rare book, Chariots for Apollo by Courtney Brooks et al. In fairly good condition despite the curling. And I think that this was worth around the $30 mark. This is a textbook, a psychiatry textbook, I think. Transient Global Amnesia. And not all textbooks are worth all that much. In fact, most are worth nothing. That's probably worth over $50 according to Amazon. This is a computer programming book that's worth around $15. And here's the verso. Gold Warriors, America's Secret Recovery of Yamashita's Gold. And there's the insignia there. Remember that V for verso. Good tip off that the book may be worth something. They publish leftist sociology, history, and political commentary books, philosophy. And it has a tear in the back, but I think another one that's worth around $15. It's The Black Sea, A History by Charles King, which is a very in-demand book currently for obvious reasons, and Oxford Press, again. Comic Studies, a guidebook edited by Charles Hatfield and Bart Beatty by Rutgers. Here's another University Press, Rutgers. And it does have highlighting in it. Here is a Mercedes-Benz M-Class Operator's Manual hardcover. Couldn't find an exact comp for this on eBay, but books like it are selling for $20 to $30. I'm going to probably end up listing this for around $30 because I think it's fairly rare. This is a hardcover without the dust jacket. It is written by the actress Eartha Kitt, who I know from her role in Ernest Scared Stupid, but was a very well-known actress. And not in the best condition. There's some tanning on the pages here. Yeah, that's her. I recognize her. I like finding books like this because Amazon booksellers who are just relying on the app, the scanner app, or are using something like Book Scout or whatever like the third-party scouting software is where they use the hand scanners, a lot of them just skip over books like this. They don't want to interrupt the flow of scanning to bother to punch in the details and look it up manually. And I think that they miss out on a lot of very collectible older books in the process. This is an example. This is probably worth about $50. Another academic book, Bodies in Doubt, An American History of Intersex by Elizabeth Reese, Johns Hopkins University Press. So a whole lot of university press books. I didn't even realize until shooting this video what proportion of these books were academic books. This is an art book or a book about furniture design from this guy. And these coffee table books can do really well. Art books or photos of architecture, photos of designers, art prints. I think I already said that. This might be worth more. This might be worth around $80. I threw a few of these in here without really looking them up, including this one. It's a new factory sealed Blu-ray of Lolita by Kubrick. Figure that's probably worth it. Here's a copy of Voodoo Vince, some original Xbox game that's pretty rare, probably worth, I think this was like $20, $30. It's got a weird case, but that's okay. This is a rare DVD, Algiers. It's a remastered, restored version. Probably $15, $20. A new sealed Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome. Something I know nothing about. New factory sealed Darkman Blu-ray, worth $15. I think probably very in demand because Red Letter Media just did a review on that film. If you found this game, it would be worth something, the original Red Dead Revolver, but that is not what is inside. Inside is Crash Bandicoot Twinsanity. which I think is worth like 20 bucks, 30 bucks just for the disc. And a Street Fighter movie that has some like water damage on it on Blu-ray. It's 3 discs. Was 3 discs. This is even coming out. So the condition is really not very good, but the movie itself is valuable. Probably 20 bucks. Last and definitely not least, some PC games. Quake 3 Arena, complete. So complete means you have the manual, or I guess in this case the insert, the jewel case, and the disc itself. And last, I got 4 Command & Conquer games that I'll probably sell in a lot. And these are all complete as well. I think that one's the valuable one, could be wrong. I did not play these games when I was a kid. I foresee a lot of people asking me why I am gonna sell these on eBay instead of on Amazon. Amazon is the bigger selling marketplace. I actually was an Amazon seller before I was ever an eBay seller. I started selling stuff on Amazon FBA, and then I have dabbled since with selling stuff seller fulfilled, meaning that I store it and then ship it out just like I do with eBay instead of sending it into Amazon. There's a bunch of discrete reasons why I don't enjoy selling on Amazon, to do with the fee structure and also with how competitive the pricing is. But really the big takeaway is that I simply don't enjoy doing it. I just don't like the process in both flavors, both FBA and seller fulfilled. I just don't like it. And I find kind of the treasure hunting model for eBay selling to be more gratifying and a lot more fun. If you were to do book selling full time, it'd probably be dumb not to consider Amazon. It is the biggest game in town. But as for me and my purposes, is kind of almost a hobby seller of books, this is a relatively pretty small proportion of my overall inventory. This just makes more sense, especially because I am set up for taking eBay photos and stuff anyway. And I think that there's some reasons why eBay is a little better for this kind of a book, like this kind of a book. I've talked about this a couple times before, so I hope it's not redundant, but Amazon has a couple of problems with it from the book buying side of things. One, a lot of people just find it distasteful to buy from Amazon. Period, at all. They don't buy anything from Amazon, and especially not books, because they think that it has destroyed the private bookshop industry. As a consequence, a big proportion of the book buying market, especially book collectors, especially people that buy antiquarian books. You're not allowed to call them antique books, they're antiquarian books for some reason. Or collectibles, you know, first editions, rare books. Those kinds of people don't like Amazon. So a lot of them are going to go elsewhere. They're going to go to Better World Books. They're going to go to abebooks.com, or smaller boutique sellers or vendors that they know personally, or eBay. A lot of them shop on eBay. And eBay is good for that, for the treasures that you have hunted. eBay is also great for selling book lots. Like, there's really not a way to do this on Amazon that's elegant in any way. It has to be living on a listing that is specifically for those books in question. So is there an Amazon listing for the first 4 books in the Wheel of Time series? There might be, but how much traffic is that really getting? One of the other big pluses is that it allows you to show and describe the condition much more gooder, better than on Amazon. And you can do it on Amazon. You can upload photos, but the user interface is terrible. I think the photo quality does suffer a bit in the upload process. And they live in these little tiny thumbnails on the listing, and nobody really looks at them, I don't think. If you do sell on Amazon, I think it makes sense to do it because it does set you apart and because it's unusual. Most Amazon sellers are working huge volume and they don't bother taking photos. They also don't bother describing the actual books. And this has kind of become a hobby horse for me, because I occasionally buy books online myself, and I hate it when booksellers use descriptive templates for their listings. So instead of saying this is in fairly good condition, it has some surface wear on the covers, there's a chewed up part on the spine, there's some tanning inside, there's a stamp, but the spine is solid, all the pages are still intact, none of the pages are marked or highlighted, and there's 8 photos of this. instead of doing that, going to all that trouble, they'll just copy paste something like good condition, may show signs of wear, may show a little bit of highlighting, may show pen marks. Completely vague. It's just non-information. So you're just gambling with your money. So if you can give the buyer a clear view and a clear description with the right terminology of the condition of the book that they're actually buying, you can get away with charging a little bit more for the same book. You don't have to be as cutthroat competitive in terms of your pricing as you really should be on Amazon. And Amazon, you know, as much as I inveigh against the race to the bottom idea with most reselling, on Amazon, that's a very tangible reality where a lot of people enable automatic price resetters or automatic pricers or whatever it's called, where they will automatically price your listing at 1 cent lower than the lowest active comp on that Amazon listing. And all the time it happens where there will be 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 12 or 100 conflicting auto repricers undercutting each other, and without any human involvement, the listing plummets in value from like 15 bucks to $2. I think eBay helps you to hang on to a little bit of the value. I think the value of any commodity on eBay is a little more stable than on Amazon just because of the auto repricers. And also, books are, once you know what you're doing, they're fairly easy to photograph and list. They're quick. Returns are lower. Like, I don't think I've ever once had a book return because they're books. And as long as you do a good job describing them, people just want the book that they want. If you enjoyed listening to me talk about books, I have another channel that's dedicated entirely to talking about books, not reselling as much as reading and reviewing, mostly science fiction. It's called Book Pilled. I'll put a link to that in the description. Okay, hope that helped. Hope you learned something. If you've never sold books, think about doing it.